Okay, for this chapter, we will be doing accrual and prepayment. To understand this chapter completely, we must first understand the accrual concept. Here we talk about income and expense. We are more interested in the amount of income earned and also the amount of expense incurred. Not really interested in the amount that was received or paid during the year. Okay, so what is the meaning of income earned? Income earned means that service has been done on our part. That means we no longer owe any service. Okay, so we may receive more money or less money than we deserve, but what we are really recording here is the amount of income that we have earned through providing the service completely. All right. Similarly goes to expense. We are interested in the amount of expense incurred. That means the amount of expense that we use up. Okay, not interested in the amount that we have paid. Okay, we can pay more or less, doesn't matter. What matters is the amount of expense that we have used up. For example, salary or rent. Here is a very clear understanding of how this works. So suppose you have an employee that works for you. You are paying him $2,000 per month. You will have incurred $24,000. You get this by multiplying 2,000 with 12 months. Okay. Doesn't matter whether you pay 19K or 28K, you will still report 24,000 in your income statement. So here you can see that the amount of salary expense recorded for that year is dependent on the amount incurred, not the actual amount paid. Okay, here we have another example. We focus on accrued expense. We have a shop that you rent for $300 per month. Okay, but you have only paid $3,000. Okay, so how much rent expense have you incurred, and how much rent expense have you owed at the end of the year? Okay, the correct answer is 3,600 for the amount of rent expense you incurred. You get this by multiplying $300 with 12 months. Okay, so it doesn't matter how much you have paid. Okay, so the amount that you should record in your income statement is 3,600. You paid 3,000. That is not enough. That's why you have a shortfall of 600. We call this accrued expense. How do we record this in our ledger? Okay, so here we have the ledger account drawn out. You can see that rent being an expense is debit nature. So when we paid the amount of money, we first record it in the rent expense on the debit side with cash at bank. Okay, and we are supposed to transfer the amount that we have incurred to the profit and loss. Okay, in this case we are transferring 3,600. Alright, so remember that all income and expense account have to be reset to 0 at the end of the year. So here there's a clear imbalance, okay, because there is some owing, $600 owing. Okay, so if you recall, we will put the $600 on the debit side so that the total debit and total credit will be the same amount. That will cause your account to have a 0 balance at the end. Okay, and we will write here accrued rent in our particulars. The amount of rent that will be reflected in your income statement will be 12 times 300, but you did not pay the entire amount. The 600 is owing. It will be presented in your balance sheet as a current liability. Let's take another look at another example. This time round we focus on prepaid expense. Here you hire an employee again, 2,000 per month. Okay, so how much have you incurred? You paid 34,000 to this employee. Obviously it's more than what you should have paid. So how much have you prepaid? Okay, you are right. If your answer for the amount of expense incurred is 24K, you get 2,000 times 12. You have overpaid by 10K. Okay, you only need to pay 24,000, but you have paid 34,000. So prepaid by 10K. In your leisure, same thing. you will record the payment on the debit side, cash at bank. You record the amount that is incurred, you transfer it to your P&L, 24K. At the end of the year, this account should be 0. There's an imbalance here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to balance this account so that it can be 0. Okay, so the 10K we will present it as a prepaid rent. We will put it on this side. Okay, statement and balance sheet. Doesn't matter how much you have paid. 12 times 2,000 is the amount that should be reflected in your income statement. You paid more than you should. That's considered a current asset. You paid more than 10K, so that is the amount that you will put it there. Okay, now we will have one longer example across 2 years. Okay, so I want you to try to think of the amount that should be placed in the box. For this example, you paid your employees 2,000 per month for conducting workshops. During this entire year, you paid a total of 30K. So how much was the amount incurred? Okay, 24,000 is the amount that you have incurred. 6,000 is the amount you have prepaid. How will you present in your ledger? You record the amount paid to your cash at bank, record the amount incurred to your P&L. This caused an imbalance. The 6K will be placed in the middle as prepaid expense. Okay, recalling the steps, we first record the payment. Okay, we determine what is the amount that is supposed to be transferred to your P&L. Okay, and we balance the account by adjusting for any accrual and prepayment at the end of the year. Okay, using the previous example, if you recall that we actually prepaid 6,000, right? Okay, here you can see we have prepaid 6,000. This $6,000 will be a point of consideration in the next year, in 20x2. Just now it was 20x1, now we are in 20x2. So how will we record it? Okay, so here is the part where we will start the ledger with an opening entry if there has been a prepaid or accrued amount from the previous year. Okay, so starting with what we have learned, we understand that we must record the amount paid and the amount incurred. Okay, so if in this case we are being told that 2,000 times 12 is the amount that we have incurred, this year we only paid 22K. Okay, so this will be the two information that we are able to input. Alright. However, at the start of the year, the prepaid salary expense has a balance of 6,000. That means this 6,000 was paid last year, but we are going to incur it for this year. Remember, when we talk about expense, we are talking about the amount that we will be, the amount of service that we will be using this year. Okay, so it doesn't matter whether it was paid last year, this year, or next year. Okay, we are just going to find out how much we have used. Okay, so this $6,000, we are going to put it as the opening entry. We will put it on the debit side, the plus side, because it belongs to this year. You see, it was paid last year but incurred this year. So we are going to put it on the plus side. And then we realize that 6,000 plus 22,000 is 28,000, which is more than the 24,000 here. So creating an imbalance. So there is a amount that is at the end of the year, we realize that it is a prepaid amount. How do I remember this? Okay, so one way is to remember by their positions. So this is the expense template. At the start of the accounting period, you either record the amount of prepaid or accrued in the respective area. Then you record the amount paid. This is always on the debit side. End of the year, the amount that you have incurred for the year that you are talking about will be placed on the credit side. Okay, and any balance remaining will be your prepaid or accrued, that will be accrued amount that will be brought forward to the next year. Okay, so again, if it's an accrual, it will be on the debit side. Prepaid will be on the credit side. So one easy way is to remember the acronym PAPA, P-A-P-A, going in clockwise direction. Your P&L amount will be reflected in your income statement, whereas your end of the period prepaid accrued will appear in your balance sheet as either as a current asset or current liability. Let's look at the last example. This time around we will be looking at income. Before we even read the question, take note that income for income account is credit nature. Okay, so that means you will be recording or receiving of your income on the credit side, and you will be transferring your P&L to on the debit side. Okay, that will be totally opposite that of a expense account. So here we are trying to look for two things as much as we can. The first one is how much did we receive. So here you can see that for the year ended 31st December 20x2, total check received was 200. Okay, at the same time we found the amount that was earned because they charge $100 per workshop. Okay, so this gives us our two entry point. We also noticed that on the 1st of January, that means this could have been brought forward from the previous year. The amount of income that we received in advance had a balance of $300. This $300 was received last year, okay, and but no service was performed last year. You received $300 and you will perform the service only in the current year 20x2. So because it is going to be earned this year, we are going to put them on the credit side. Okay, so we'll start with an opening entry, putting the $300 in. We will see that there's an imbalance in the account. We have 1,002 on the debit side and 500 on the credit side. So to balance it, we put the $700 here, and we will have the particulars, workshop fees, incomes, receivables. So once again, some students may not be able to know what to write here, so we prepared a template for you to remember easily. Okay, this time around we don't have the PAPA to help us remember, but we can remember using the start of the period. The receivables will be on the debit side and the receipt in advance will be on the credit side, and at the end of the year they will swap position. Okay, so if you look at the expense template, the start and end of the year they also switch position. Okay, bear in mind that your cash at bank amount that you receive is recorded on the credit side because this is an income account, whereas the transfer of amount earned to your profit and loss is recorded on the debit side. Okay, this amount is then transferred to P&L, right, to income statement, and then whatever amounts remain that is going to be brought forward to the next year will be presented in your balance sheet either as a current asset or a current liability. Okay, so with these two templates, you will be able to do most of the questions. Okay, that's the end of the lecture.